allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On behalf of the board, I welcome everybody here this evening. Thank you. Administrator, take roll call attendance, please.
Trustee Pelkey.
Here.
Trustee Menard.
Here.
Trustee Southwick.
Here.
Trustee Arno. Mayor LaBounty.
Here. Thank you. We have open meeting to the public. We have one individual that's signed up to address the board. And I'll just briefly remind the individual that wishing to speak to the public, he'd be recognized by the mayor. Speaker must come to the front of the room. Speakers must give their name, address, and organization if they represent any. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Speakers may not yield any remaining time to another speaker. Board members may, with the permission of the mayor, interrupt the speaker during their remarks, but only for the purpose of clarification or information. All remarks must be addressed to the board as a body, not to an individual board members. And lastly, speakers must observe the commonly accepted rules of courtesy, decorum, dignity, and good taste. Interested parties or their representatives may also address the board by written communication. And with that, Mr. Lambert, you can step forward and address the board.
Sure. Steve Lambert, 22 Academy Street. I live right at the corner of Academy and Maple. I have addressed this to Brian individually and to Mr. Latrimore, but I wanted to address the board to make you aware of what's happening down there. My wife and I are fortunately retired at this point in time. We're home a lot. During the last 2 weeks, we have intercepted approximately 10 tractor trailers trying to make the turn from Academy to Maple to the right. The address that they're given is 64 Maple. They're going by their GPS, but we've run out there and said, you know, you've got to turn around because the gate is not open. It's at the end of Academy. It hasn't been a real issue except for, well, it has been an issue for the sheer number of trucks that we've intercepted. We were away for the most part of July, so it may have happened before then. But what's happening is they make the right-hand turn onto Maple, and they get down there and they find out, wow, we can't unload here. So they have to back up all the way back through the intersection. One guy last week took out trees. We observed trees on top of his cab and on the undercarriage of his truck. And, you know, he had to back all the way up. And people are very impatient. So as he was backing up into the intersection, a truck came down and decided to go onto the lawn across the street from us on the sidewalk and go around him as he's backing up. Today, Mr. Letourneau was on vacation, but he observed, he came running out of his house and he said, what happened? And I said, well, the guy jumped the curb as he was turning. And it made this huge big noise, you know, and he was gracious. He said, oh, I didn't know. I said, well, your GPS is taking you to the wrong gate. So with school starting up, we're concerned that people come and go absolutely all day during the school day. They start lining up at 2 o'clock to pick their kids up. You know, they're dropping them off as early as 7:15. There's a lot of traffic out there, and they line up on both sides of the street, up and down the street. So we're concerned with the signage that is there. There's got to be something that is put on the corner of Maple and Academy that directs them to the proper gate. There's one down on Maple Street that has a diagram, but by the time they see it, they have to back up and all of the aforementioned issues. The gate on Academy has, you know, the entrance, it says Fromos, or entrance 64 Academy Street, but it's on, it's 64 Maple Street, but it's on Academy. So something needs to be put up there with a big arrow that directs the traffic up. The other issue that we're seeing is that the trucks leaving downtown here, tonight we had a guy that came barreling through with a semi, and he didn't stop at the stop sign. So, you know, it's just an issue that I wanted you to be aware of. Somebody's gonna get hurt if something isn't done.
Thank you, Mr. In regards to those comments, I can tell you that just today, the administrator and I were discussing this. This was brought to my attention that this is becoming a huge problem within our village streets. Obviously, these trucks aren't allowed on these streets, and the administrator, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, reached out to one of the new businesses up there, one of the two businesses up there, 64 Maple I'm referring to, and he's assured us that he's going to address all his shipping containers to go through Route 11 onto Academy Street in that direction. But I also think you have an idea of more signage to make available in case that communication isn't fully recognized by everyone. I think that's a very good suggestion to the board, and we'll definitely take that under strong consideration. But I can understand your concerns. As far as the stop sign issue, to be quite frank with you, I've had some discussions with members of our sheriff's department, and I'm a little disappointed in some of their attitudes as far as what they will do inside the boundaries of our village. As far as I'm concerned, I don't want anybody driving down any of our streets that are usually marked 25 to 30 miles an hour, 45 or 50 or 60 miles an hour. And that seems to be becoming more of a trend than an exception. And I've addressed that directly with some of the sheriff department people. I didn't get the answer, to be honest with you, that I wanted. It's a work in progress, but I will continue to address it with the sheriff's department, and we will continue to address it with the state police, because at the end of the day, the citizens of this village need to know that they can ride their bike, walk the streets, have school in session, and not have to worry about somebody speeding to our village or not following the law as it's marked upon our streets and our roads. So on both those issues, I have the same concerns that you have, Mr. Lambert, and I'm sure every member of this board does too. And I can assure you that we take that problem very seriously, and it will be addressed one way or the other. You have my word on that, because I don't want anyone hurt on my watch or this board's watch, and whatever we have to do, we will do to make sure that everybody has a safe trip within this village and whatever else they intend to do. I hope that addresses your issues. If there's a problem and it continues, my office is always open. My phone number is on the listing. Call me, and I will address it as soon as I can. But we are working on that problem because we all see it. There is a problem.
Thank you. One thing, just to clarify or whatever, we were working at the school. I work at the school. We were at Rouses Point Elementary putting some new lights up. The one day that the guy hit the tree, and there was 4 tractor trailers that went by, and you were there for 3 of them, and I think your wife was there for the one that hit the tree, and she backed him up. So yeah, I did see it, and yeah, we are looking into it. We've talked to the, what is it?
I think the new business, and I prefer not to mention it on the camera, but the new business has different trucking companies or different delivery service than the one that's in there, has been there for a while, and I think that's part of the problem. But we addressed it directly with the owners of the company, and they assured us they will address it with their shipping companies in the future. And between that and possibly putting up additional signage, I think that would resolve the problem. As far as, once again, the trucks speeding or not obeying the stop signs, that's a totally different issue, and we will work on that and continue to work on that.
Well, in defense of the truckers, they were all very appreciative that we turned them around the right way. And most of them, you know, they'd never been to Rouse's Point before, so they were just following their GPS.
No, and I don't, lay all the problem at the foot of the truck drivers. They're just trying to make a living. They're not
Yeah.
familiar with our village, as you said. And I think a lot of that has to do with the management, explaining to these companies how they deliver and the proper way to deliver to their facility.
Getting the address right,
Yep, thank you.
changing the address.
We appreciate your comment, Mr. Lambert.
Thank you.
And that's the only one that wants to address the board. And now we're off to minutes of the August 7th, 2023 regular meeting. All the trustees should have that minutes in their packet. If there's no changes or deletions or questions on those minutes, then I would like to have a motion and a second to accept those minutes as printed.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as printed.
I'll second.
All those in favor of accepting the August 7th minutes as printed, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no, the ayes have it. Bills, Mrs. Pelkey?
No additions, no deletions.
Okay, everybody in their packet should also have a copy of the bills. If there's no questions on those bills, then I need a motion and a second to pay those bills as printed.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills as printed.
And I'll have I'll
Second.
second that. All those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Correspondence, Mr. Latchmore?
At this point, Mr. Mayor, I have no correspondence.
Okay. And under myself, I will request the board vote to go in executive session for some personnel issues. Do I have
I'll second that.
all those in favor of going to an executive session, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, we will go in executive session right after this meeting. And second, the thing I want to address is, we've had some complaints from the residents on Chapman Street, and I understand completely why they're complaining about the telephone poles left up on Chapman Street. The administrator and I have taken these complaints very seriously, and we've worked our way up to the food chain, and we have spoke to Mr. Michael Southwick at the Champlain Technology Group, and we, both Mr. Latcher and myself, got assurances from Mr. Southwick that the poles would be down before the snow flies, or start to be taken down before the snow flies. My understanding, and the administrator can correct me if I'm mistaken, but they're changing over from copper to fiber, and I guess there has been some resistance to a certain extent on from some of the residents on Chapman Street, but now in my understanding, they're not gonna give the residents an opportunity. They're gonna be forced to take the fiber optics, and that would make the commitment to move these poles speed up a lot quicker. And I believe, if I'm correct, Mr. Latchmore, you have something to verify that from somebody from Champlain Technology?
I do, Mr. Mayor. So what they indicated to us is that we are moving forward with letters that need to be sent out to our customers as required by the New York State Public Commission, and that they will need to convert their service. Their intent is to have these letters mailed out by Friday, August 25th at the latest to all the people on Chapman Street. And then they'll be in full compliance to move forward to transfer everybody over to fiber and begin removing the telephone poles.
So hopefully, Mr. Southwick can get these letters out, and hopefully Mr. Southwick will follow through with our conversation and get these poles down. All the residents on Chapman Street or whatever needs to have these, the nice view that everybody else has. So hopefully we'll get these poles down, and everybody in the village will be, especially on Chapman Street, will now be happy about their new scenic view. That's all I have for the mayor. And Mr. Arnold is out. The other trustee Bernard, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Just one thing, Mr. Administrator, is there a certain time they pick up the boxes out here, the clothing boxes. I see there's an awful mess out there. Is there, they have a certain time that they pick it up, or can we call them to?
That's all done through the stage committee, so I will reach out to Penny, because the mayor and I noticed that there's a lot of overflow.
We were
that
going
needs to be
around
picked
today
up.
and I told the administrator, I said, that doesn't look very nice.
No, it doesn't
And
look
if we
nice.
get any weather that's
Yeah.
bad, it's just gonna soak it and make it that much worse.
Yeah.
Any winds, high winds, so when he indicated to me the stage committee was in charge of that, he's gonna reach out to him and see if we can work out a more concise schedule to pick this stuff up.
Yeah, yeah, doesn't look very well, you know, we try to keep everything nice and.
No,
I agree.
I agree with you, it didn't look very nice.
That's all I have for this evening.
Trustee Pelkey?
Just an update on the public works, they're paving the paths behind the rec center here, they're just about completed of what they're gonna do this year, it looks really nice. Eliminated a lot of the trip hazards, they took out the old wooden bridges and they're putting culverts and they put the blacktop right through, so I know, some people like to rollerblade, you know, they're out there with their bicycles riding around, walking, so it makes a nice walk path.
Yeah,
I see a lot of people use that path.
No, we went out there, myself and the administrator, and Adam is doing a good job with that paver, and I think it's gonna add a lot to that park.
Yes.
It makes it really nice.
And people come from all over, you know, all over the village to come down here and walk because, you know they don't have to worry about the traffic and, any other issues. They can just walk and, you know.
Between the dog park, the
Yeah.
Veterans Park, and our playgrounds for everybody in the ball fields, that's gonna be quite an enhancement, I believe.
Yes.
It looks very nice.
The other thing I got, they started the fire department roof today. You see the truck over there. They started taking the stones off the top. They're gonna be replacing the roof this week, so that'll be good, so we can get them leaks stopped. The last thing I have is, I noticed that the tires on Montgomery Street, I don't know if Mr. Cooper, you had anything to do with that, but it was nice to see those picked up.
I've trouble with same plants before.
Yeah, there was about 25 tires on the side of the road that was, cabled to our street light. I mean, it looks awful. And I noticed it's all gone now, so it looks nice. Yeah, it's gone.
Perfect.
So, whoever had anything to do with it, I appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're trying to make our village look nice, and we wanna keep it up. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And trustee Southwick?
We have two open positions in the village. One is for a water treatment plant operator, that's with a grade 2A certificate, and also a wastewater treatment plant operator, also with a grade 2A certificate. People interested or just want more details, get a hold of contact the office, village office. That's all I have.
Thank you. I understand in that regards, Mr. Administrator, we're gonna use a different way to advertise. This website called Monster, or whatever, is gonna be able to touch more people, is that correct?
Yes, so I had a meeting with trustee Pelkey and trustee Southwick, and what they asked, if with board approval, to post these positions, we're gonna try a different method rather than using the Press Republican, which is quite costly. Our last advertisement that we did for 5 days, it was $869, somewhere in there, Becky. We're gonna try to use Indeed and Monster. It's supposed to be free application, and it's gonna give us a wider range, we think, of applicants to apply throughout the state.
Do we need a motion to advertise those?
No, well, I'm gonna need the motion to advertise these two positions.
I'll make a motion to advertise the positions.
I'll second.
Take a roll call vote, Mr. Lattimore?
Trustee Pelkey,
Aye.
trustee Menard,
Aye.
trustee Southwick,
Aye.
Mayor LaBounty.
Aye, the ayes have it, and the administrator is given permission to advertise for these two positions. Anything else, trustee Southwick?
Nothing at this time.
Okay.
I have one other thing. Talk about these positions. We also talked about possibly advertising for the rec center manager position on this Indeed and Monster, and maybe for the electric department for help also. I mean, if it's free, but those were already approved, we shouldn't have to, so we can just go ahead
You
and
can
add
just
them.
add them, yes.
Perfect.
Now, those positions, just let the board know, I had those advertised with the New York State Department of Labor, so So they've been posted since the positions have been open through the website.
Hopefully I have better luck with this.
Keep your fingers crossed.
If we can get a different avenue to advertise, we might as well take advantage of
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Especially if the price is right.
Code Officer Cooper, you got anything you wanna report?
No, sir, I think the village looks pretty good. I think you guys have all noticed.
Okay. Anybody from the public have anything to say before I close the meeting? Mr. Lambert?
In regards to the pickup of the closeout here, I have seen the truck several times this summer, come and pick it up. They seem to be more receptive to picking up than the bottles do. I know there's some type of agreement with the bottles, but you should speak to the hockey association to get those out of the way as well. That's really low-hanging fruit to enhance the look of the village.
We'll address both those issues, thank you. With that, then I need a
Motion recess.
motion to adjourn to go into executive session.
Make a motion to recess?
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it.